The evening wind rolled across the wide Wyoming plains like a restless spirit, scattering dust across the quiet highway. Clara Dawson stood inside her small diner, wiping down the counters with the slow, practiced motions of someone who had done so every day for years. Her diner was old, worn in some places, but warm and filled with the faint scent of coffee and wood polish. People passing through often said the place felt like a memory of better times. Clara herself had lived a life weighed by loss. Her marriage had come apart long before she was ready to admit it had died. The land her family had tended for generations had been lost in a bank auction she could not stop, and loneliness settled around her like a second skin, familiar, heavy, and mostly silent. She stayed because leaving would mean losing the only place that still held pieces of her past. Just as she turned the key in the front door, ready to close for the night, she heard footsteps outside. She paused, tense for only a moment, before the porch light revealed a tall cowboy with a dust-covered coat and a hat pulled low. A young boy stood beside him, maybe 9 years old, arms wrapped around himself against the cold. Clara hesitated. Strangers at night could mean trouble, but the boy's tired, pleading eyes softened something inside her. She opened the door wider and said quietly, "Come in. Warm yourselves." They stepped inside, their boots leaving faint marks on the wooden floor. The cowboy spoke little, introducing himself as Jesse Hartwell and the boy as Sam. They were traveling without a clear destination, Jesse said, only going where things might get better. Clara understood without asking. People rarely floated through life this way unless they were trying to leave something behind. She served them the leftover soup she had been about to throw away. Sam whispered a soft thank you. Jesse watched the boy with a depth of care that didn't need to be explained. Clara noticed his hands, strong, calloused, but clean, and the quiet steadiness in him, the kind of steady that came from surviving things that had no easy name. They spent the night in the small spare room behind the diner, a room Clara hadn't used in years because it reminded her of someone she once loved and lost. Sam fell asleep quickly, his small hand curled into Jesse's sleeve even as he rested. When Clara returned to the diner, she found Jesse standing near the window, looking out into the quiet, moonlit nothingness beyond the road. He spoke softly when he finally told her that Sam was not his child, not by blood, not by law, just by promise. Jesse had found him months ago near the burned remains of a homestead, a life gone to ash and silence. Clara didn't ask for more because pain has a way of making itself known without details. She told him of her own losses, a marriage that faded like a dying star and a family farm that slipped from her hands no matter how tightly she held. They did not speak in dramatic confessions or heavy speeches. Instead, they shared the kind of conversation that settles deep, where a person feels seen without needing to explain themselves twice. The night passed slowly, peacefully. In the morning, golden sunlight spilled across the plains and into the diner's windows. Sam helped Clara set out the morning cups and Jesse hauled firewood to the porch without being asked. It felt, for a few brief hours, like something gentle and whole. But peace seldom stays. A black truck rolled into the gravel outside, polished, expensive, clearly belonging to someone with power and land. A ranch hand stepped out and called Jesse Mr. Hartwell, his voice carrying a tone of urgency, mentioning matters waiting back at the ranch. Clara froze. Jesse wasn't just a cowboy passing through. He was a wealthy cattle rancher, one of the largest landowners in the region. He hadn't been wandering because he was lost. He had been wandering because wealth does not mend the things grief shatters. Jesse turned to Clara with a calmness that wasn't pride or apology, simply truth. He told her that he left because the ranch held too many ghosts, memories that clung to every fence post, every pasture, every sunrise. Grief can be loud even in silence. Clara listened, not with hurt, but with understanding. She had spent years living inside memories of her own. It was not money that healed, it was connection, warmth, and the courage to begin again. Sam hugged Clara before they left, and the small, earnest embrace made her eyes sting with a feeling she had nearly forgotten, the feeling of being needed. Jesse hesitated before stepping outside, turning back just once, not asking her to follow, not making promises, simply offering the quiet possibility of something more. He told her she was welcome at his ranch any time, not as hired help, not as charity, but as someone who reminded him that kindness was not gone from the world. Clara stood in the doorway, watching the truck pull away, dust rising in the morning sun like a slow, drifting promise. She did not call out, she did not step forward, but something inside her opened, a door she had kept closed for years. The road stretched wide and bright before her, and for the first time in a long time, she could imagine walking toward something instead of running from what had been lost. And so, the story did not end in grand declarations or dramatic vows. Instead, it ended, or began, with a quiet, steady hope. The kind of hope that grows slowly. The kind of hope that comes from one night of kindness. The kind of hope that might just be enough.